The US is piling fresh sanctions against Iran in a bid to crank up the pressure over the country's nuclear activities. The actions target companies accused of breaching a European ban on buying oil from Tehran. Let's talk more about this now. We'll speak to Patricia DeGennaro, Professor of Politics at New York University. Patricia, hi there. Thanks for being on RT. With pressure mounting on Tehran, now a top Indian company's agreed to provide insurance for the tankers carrying oil from Iran. How's that going to impact the effectiveness of the sanctions then?
Well, those tankers need to have insurance. As soon as they stop having the insurance, they're going to be turned away or not able to carry the oil from one place or the other. India is demanding that it happens, but this implication or this further sanction that the U.S. is putting on Iran is actually hurting and inhibiting the discussion efforts, I think, to move forward on this. I don't see why they can't hold back and think a little bit about more of negotiating the peace and how they can get milestones and give them some benefits for staying at the negotiating table and moving forward.
Now, the US has apparently started intensifying a build-up in the Persian Gulf, as we've been reporting. Reportedly, they're deploying underwater drones to hunt for Iranian mini-submarines. How serious a threat is that to the Islamic Republic?
Well, what's happening here, unfortunately, is that they're playing a dangerous game. It's almost like cat and mouse, who's going to run first or who's going to attack first. And what concerns me here is that if we're moving more warships there, that Iran is going to feel more threatened, and there's more chance of triggering some kind of mistake there. And then we're going to see definitely a heightened escalation of violence in the airline attacks. Now, I don't know what they hope to achieve by putting warships in the region, other than, making or trying to make Israel feel safer. But in fact, this is, again, I'm going to say, an extremely dangerous game where it's almost, daring somebody to strike first.
This is the worry, isn't it? It's almost the worry that something could kick off almost by accident. And with the increasing US presence in the Persian Gulf, how real is a possibility of a naval clash in the region? Just takes someone to pull a trigger by accident, misread a sign or a warning, doesn't it?
Exactly, and it's very real, because often communications and control and command don't go quite as smooth as we'd like it to. And the Iranian military in particular is organized a bit differently than the American military. So they could get an order that is not known or understood by some superiors within the Ayatollah's government. So, we're not understanding, again, or doing our homework on what is happening within the context of the country that, again, we're threatening. We should be doing more negotiation, more diplomacy. I'd like to see Mrs. Clinton lead the State Department as Secretary of State instead of really promoting, more war in the region and in the area.
This has been dragging on, Patricia, for so long now, isn't it? I mean, Western intelligence now claiming Iran might be just a year away, 12 months from building a nuclear weapon. Tehran obviously is denying that still. Overall, how could this confrontation at this stage, we've been banging on it for so long, be resolved, given that neither side, it seems, wants to lose face, at least?
Well, nobody wants to lose face, of course, and we should not allow the Iranians to lose face either. We need to sit down, put milestones on the table, and be serious about these negotiations. They're negotiations. They're not telling the Iranians what to do. This is absolutely dangerous. We don't really understand what's happening there. We made this mistake with Iraq, where we said there were nuclear weapons and there weren't, and now we're on our way for making this mistake in Iran. The Israelis have been saying they're on their way to nuclear weapons next year since 1994. So let's sit down and talk before we start pointing weapons at each other, which could really facilitate a large-scale and a large-scale conflict in the region that is threatening to pull so many players in.
Thanks for your thoughts. Patricia DeGennaro, Professor of Politics at New York University. Thanks for being on RT.
My pleasure.